Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll discuss to you the part 2 of our simple login and sign up application. So in this video, we'll be creating the complete code of the sign up. In our previous video, we created the UI of the sign up. Now we're going to create the complete code for the submit button. So once the user fill up the following information, and click the submit button, the information will be saved in MariaDB database or MySQL database. So let's start. So in our submit button, we'll be adding the click event. And then in here, we'll be adding the methods. Then in here, we'll be adding the B model. So we already added the B model, b-model txt name. Also for the address, b model txt address, b model txt username, and the password b model txt password. Now we're going to define a variable for each b model or for each input. Then we'll be adding a condition that will verify if the information is not empty. So a simple validation before saving the data to avoid empty fields. Then do not forget to define the component in here. So we have here the code for the register method. We have here the txt name, txt address, and then txt username, and the txt password. In here we'll be changing this to name. Then let's check the application. Okay, so we're able to check all the fields if they are not empty. Then now let's create the final statement, which is the actions. So before you can use the actions, we're going to import that to your project. Then the parameter, of course, the first parameter is the name. Now let's create the URL. So I created a folder here, a separate folder for our project. So I created a folder which is the sample app, and of course I already created the signup.php to shorten the video. So let's specify that. So the name of the folder is sample app, and the name of the file is signup.php. So we are done with the source code for the Ionic. Now let's proceed to the PHP part of our application. So I already created the table of our project, a dedicated database for our project. The name of the database is db sample app, and the name of the table is tbl underscore registration. So I already specified the different columns that we needed to our project. So we have the ID as the primary key, the name, address, username, and password. So we have a 5 fields on our table. Next is we go to the PHP part. So do not forget the connection, the DB connect of the application under sample app. So in our connection, I changed the value for the DB sample app, and the rest is the same with the previous videos. And next is I already created the sign up page. So here, this is our sign up.php. Since we pass a 4 variables in our actions, which is the name, address, username, and the password. So I already defined it here. For the case of the password, I use the password hash to encrypt the plain text password for security purposes. And I use the password bcrypt as the encryption methodology. Okay? Or the encryption tool. The next thing is the SQL statement. So since the table name is tbl registration, so I already specified that we have 4 fields: the name, address, username, and password. And we bind a variable which is name, address, username, and password. So under the values part, so we define the required variable which is the name and the value for that name, also the address, the username, and the password. Okay, so to easily read or understand the source code, we presented this. Next is, so we have here the execute, and then after the execute statement, we added a function here to test whether the SQL statement is successfully executed into our MariaDB database. So we use the result row count to count whether there are records has been, or the record has been saved to our database. If the value is greater than 0, then we'll be displaying a message which is message success. Otherwise, it will display a message error. Okay, so let's try our application, but do not forget to save that even this one, save. And in here we already saved that, so let's proceed to our application. Let's try to save record to our database. So on our database or in our table, there are no records available, so there are empty record on our table. So now let's try to add a record. So let's say we save the name John Doe, the address is California, and the username is John, and the password is 12345. Then let's try to save this by clicking the submit button, and there is a response object, so it's in JSON format, so we cannot read that. So later on we'll be editing the source code for the success part. So just click the OK. Let's verify if the records has been saved to our table. So reload. So there is a record. So the record has been successfully saved. John Doe, California. The username is John, and at the same time the password has been encrypted. So these accounts will be used later on in the login part of our application, so in our third video. Now let's try to modify the source code here. So instead of response.data, we'll be changing that into if a condition else, then data.message, that's the name of our variable on our JSON, the response. And then if the value is success, then it will display a message, alert, record has been saved. Then otherwise, if the message is not success or the record has not been saved, then no record has been saved. Okay, so we do it again, try our application again. So we'll just wait. Okay, so next we're going to save another record again. So for example, John Smith, then the address is, let's say, New York, then the username is John Smith, complete name, and the password is 123456. Submit. Then record has been saved. Okay, so let's reload. Okay, so we're able to save the data, John Smith. In here, after saving the record, it must clear all the fields. Okay, so you can do that by resetting the value or setting the value into empty. So the first thing you need to do is to, let's say, copy that. So here, initialize to empty. So copy for 3 times, and we'll just change that into password is empty, and then username is empty also, and then for the txt name, address. Okay, save. Okay, so let's try that again by saving Mark. Let's say the name is Mark. Florida. The address is Florida. Of course, the username is Mark, and the password is, let's say it's also Mark. Then submit. So record has been saved. Then automatically all the fields has been reset. Okay, so our next video will be creating the login part of our applications. So that's all. Thank you for watching. See you on our next video.